Hello, sailors. Join us for a walk around North Shields and Royal Keys Marina as we answer your questions and discuss our plans for 2024.
In today's episode, we'll be answering the remaining questions that we got from some of our viewers, and later on, we'll also be talking about what are our sailing plans for 2024. So, Scott asked us, what was our plan like going around the UK, and how did our actual experience compare against that? Now, Scott knows that I love a plan, and I love it when we're able to meet or better than that, do better than that plan. But what was the plan like going around the UK? Well, we had our high level plan, our strategic level plan, which was get around the UK and back to North Shields by early September. And we kind of had a slightly more detailed plan than that, which was we wanted to do that primarily with day sails, a mixture of buoys, marinas, anchoring, and so on. And we knew that we had a big decision to make on the way based upon our progress, which was either go through the Caledonian Canal or go around Cape Wrath around the top of Scotland. So we would deal with that when we come to it. Um, but then our day-to-day plan, our kind of operational plan, if you like, was entirely dictated by wind, tide, and so on, and kind of things like shelter from prevailing winds, prevailing tides, and stuff like that. So it was actually completely out of our hands and dictated to us, what we could and we couldn't do. But that was quite difficult at the start. But you get used to it, and actually it's quite a relaxing way to live. You're looking at what the weather's doing, what the world is doing around you, so you just become more in tune with it, which is actually quite nice. And then you kind of feel a bit humbled by that. I'd like to go there, but I can't go there. It's not really something that you get used to in daily life. So the plan was achieved. We got back to Newcastle and we got there in early September. But in terms of how we did it, it varied a lot on a day to day based upon all those factors. Tom asked us if time and tide was no issue, where would we have spent longer? And conversely, where would we have spent a shorter amount of time? Um, I think the two are linked, so I'll start with the latter. Where would we have spent less time? That would have been in beautiful Bangor. Northern Ireland was amazing, exceeded all my expectations. Um, I didn't have high expectations for Northern Ireland, but I was blown away by Belfast and Bangor and so on. So it was great to visit there, and I would definitely go back and recommend it to anyone. The issue was that we spent a little bit too long there. We spent 3 weeks there because there was just storm after storm after storm coming in, one after another, and it meant that passage north to Scotland would have just been way too hairy, given the spring tides and so on that we had at the time as well. So yeah, we were kind of stuck there. It was either stay in Bangor for 3 weeks in a marina for free, or go up to and kind of try and find somewhere sheltered in Scotland to anchor, potentially not free, if it's on a mooring buoy, um, or in a marina, and certainly wouldn't be as comfortable either. So we spent there. I wish we could have left there a little bit earlier, because then that leads on to where would we have spent longer, and that definitely would have been Scotland. Scotland was fantastic. I sailed there before, and I saw some new bits during this trip as well, and it was really nice. But we just didn't have enough time there. Partly due to how long it took to get along the south coast, but also partly due to the Bangor incident as well. So it meant that we couldn't see the places that I'd been before, like the Isles of Bute and so on in particular, which also meant that we couldn't see good friends like Scott from the earlier question and a few other former colleagues and stuff that I used to work with. So that was quite disappointing, but not a lot we could do about it really, unfortunately. So yeah, I'd love to go back to Scotland and do more of the Outer Hebrides and so on, and the Inner Hebrides and northern Scottish mainland, etc. So maybe in a future season we'll get the opportunity to do that.
So Jane wanted to know the logistics of getting either food delivered to the boat or supplies delivered to the boat. We didn't actually get any food delivered. What we would do is when we went to a marina, there was usually a supermarket within walking distance, so we would stock up there. We'd have to meal plan though, because for a lot of the trip we didn't have shore power, so we didn't have a freezer, and if we did have the fridge on, we'd have to limit the use of that to just a few hours a day. So we had to kind of meal plan around things that didn't require storing it cool temperatures. In terms of getting supplies delivered, if we needed spare parts, again, marinas were really good for this, because when you're getting something from Amazon or from a different company, you just swap your address for the marina office, and every marina we went to was more than happy to take deliveries for us. We have heard of other people getting things delivered when they're on anchor, and you just have to be very specific about where you want it to be delivered, which would be where your dinghy is going to shore. So wherever the local slip or jetty is, and you would arrange for delivery there. We haven't tried it, but it might be something we do in the future.
Steve asked us, what was our most difficult moment and what did we learn from it? That's quite an easy one for me. I can really be quite specific in terms of what was the most difficult or challenging moment, and that was on our way from, or around Land's End, on our way up to, initially it was supposed to be Milford Haven. Picture the scene. We were waiting for nearly 2 weeks to get around Land's End. And rightly so. It can be a disastrous piece of water and is not to be taken lightly. So you've got to get it right. So we'd waited, as I say, for nearly 2 weeks to get a suitable weather window, and it finally came. We were going to get easterly winds, so we should have a nice kind of reach up there, and it should be relatively plain sailing for what would have been also our first overnight sail, and certainly the longest sail that we'd ever undertaken as well. When we set off from a place called Mullion Cove on that morning, it was beautiful, and the promised easterly wind was coming, or was there, and we had a lovely sail, around Lizard Point and down towards Land's End. Could see Land's End from quite far away, and it all looked great. This was also the time when we first started to turn north. We'd done the whole English Channel at this point, and this was it. We were going to be turning north to, do that clockwise circumnavigation. When we turned north, it was an absolute shit show, if I'm honest with you. The wind was coming blasting from the north. It was like 25 knots, gusting 35. And we were going with the tide, obviously, which was going north, and the wind was therefore against the tide, and it was awful. We were getting battered around, really badly. I looked around at the crew weren't happy, I wasn't happy, dog wasn't happy. So the question was, what do we do about this? Do we continue on, or do we divert to somewhere else? And there weren't really that many options. Certainly with the North Cornish coast, with the northerly wind, you haven't got many options. And one of those options was Padstow. Could we make it? The calculations were tight. It took some good upwind sailing to get there, but we made the tidal gate with 10 minutes to spare. We met some amazing friends there. We ended up staying there for a week. It was a gorgeous place, some terrific memories and so on. And certainly that night, at the end of that, what turned out to be a very long and very bloody challenging day, we were sat in a lovely restaurant, eating beautiful food. And those memories, even though they were from the same day, were kind of, were all already becoming distant. So yeah, I think the lesson from that is don't be frightened to change your plans. You might be stuck on wanting to do something in one way, but if it turns out that you can't do it in that way, then don't be stubborn. Be adaptable, and look after yourself, and certainly look after your crew as well. So a big thanks to everyone that asked us questions. We really appreciate it, and if you've got any more questions at all, give us a shout. We're highly likely to reply because we don't get many comments. So it's always nice to receive one and to respond. We don't bite. She might, but we don't. Also, if you like our videos, press the like button. It lets us know that you like it. It feeds the YouTube algorithm. So maybe more people will have it suggested on their feeds and so on. And yeah, what happens when you press the subscribe button? Some people don't appreciate what happens when you click the subscribe button. First things first, it doesn't cost you any money. No one's going to come knocking at your door or anything like that. All it does is mean that when we release a new video or something, then you just get notified of it. That's it. That's all that happens. But again, it feeds the YouTube algorithm, and maybe other people who've got similar interests to you will also get a notification that they might like our videos as well. So yeah, please, if you like the video, click subscribe as well. The resident welcoming committee and hit squad are here, looking to see if we've got any crumbs or morsels for them. Oh, I'll go and get you something, don't worry. And then we have yet another welcoming committee and security system also on board this time. The trouble is when both of the security systems come nose to nose, and then anything can happen. Yewy, I'm not sure you can take on 2 swings, pet. 2 swings, 2 swans.
So, the question everyone has been asking us is what's next? And we kind of had 2 options. We could have this adventure as a bit of a one off and then go back to land life, go back to our jobs, and kind of just go back to how things were. Option 2 is to do what is kind of known in the sailing community as pushing the F it button.
Yeah. So we thought about going around the UK, maybe the other way, maybe the same way, maybe around Cape Wrath this time rather than the Caledonian Canal. There were still loads of parts of the UK, as I mentioned earlier, that we didn't see. So that was a very appealing option. But I think what is also appealing is warmer weather on the skin.
Oh, yes.
And warmer water to swim in and so on. So we we thought to ourselves, let's go south somewhere. And just how south are we going to go? Well, the most south we can go from the east coast without turning is down to
France.
Vive la France!
Oui.
Right, yeah, okay, let's go to France.
There's a lot of France.
So we intend on sailing the entire Channel coast of France, probably leaving from Dover or Eastbourne or somewhere like that, and arriving around Calais, and then making our way west towards the beautiful Brittany coast. And then when we get there, we've got options. We can go down to Channel Islands, difficult with a dog, if you do it officially, or we could turn back up and kind of come back to the UK as well. But if you're going to go south, you might as well go really south. So we thought we would fit in the Atlantic coast of France as well. Many people do the hop across Biscay when they're on the way to the Med and so on, and miss out this beautiful part of France. So we intend on getting into lots of nooks and crannies and really finding out what it's got to offer. And I'm sure it is beautiful. So I can't wait.
Me neither.
But then we were thinking, okay, well, I mean, what are the plans after we do the Atlantic coast of France? Well, we might as well do the Atlantic coast of Spain as well. So we're going to do northern Spain, Bilbao, San Sebastian, which I can't wait to go to. Food Mecca, and making our way along to Coruña and so on, and then we're going to continue going south. So we're going to do the Atlantic coast of Portugal. Is there any other coast of Portugal? I don't think there is, but we're going to do that as well. So lots of rivers and estuaries and so on to explore within Portugal, and orcas as well.
But we have a security system.
We do have a security system. I don't think we need to worry about orcas because there's no amount of orcas in the world that's going to deal with this.
Ferocious beast.
Going to mess with this. And then once we're down that far, we're not going to have time to come back up to England. So we're just going to nip across the Gibraltar Strait and spend the winter in Morocco.
So that is the plan.
Yeah.
Now we have to execute the plan.
We do have to execute the plan.
And it sounds so simple. Buy a boat, sail to France, go down to Morocco for the winter. But we are busy. We've got a lot of paperwork. We've got a lot to organise.
It used to be really easy. You used to get in your boat, you used to sail to France, and then you went wherever you wanted, and then you did Spain, you did Portugal, and you go into Morocco, or just continue into the Med and sail that kind of, southern Spain and France and so on. Now it's a completely different kettle of fish due to obvious reasons. So yeah, it's really not easy now, but it is possible, and therefore a plan is important. The plan is in progress, and the plan is really very detailed indeed. So we'll be sharing more about, you know, how just exactly how we intend on doing this. Will we do it in Shenzhen days, 90 days? To do all of that is no, it's not. I don't think it's possible.
C'est difficile.
C'est très difficile. So you know, we need to approach that in a different way. So we'll get into that in future weeks in terms of exactly how we'll do it. But yeah, I am completely over the moon excited to be getting back on the boat. And yeah, we did a significant journey the last time around. 1,600 miles around the UK was not for the faint-hearted, let me tell you. But this one is, well, we're sailing to Africa.
With a Welsh terrier.
With an absolute nut job. And to live in a Muslim country, where English is the third language and so on. And so yeah, I think a lot of adventure awaits. I can't wait. And of course, for all of our friends and family and anyone else that's interested, we'll be blogging the whole way down there as well.
So that's the plan.
That's the plan.
Let's do it.
Of course, after a cold morning in the marina, there was only one thing on our minds.
There's only one thing for it. There's only one thing that will do.
You guessed it.